Hello, you noble people. My name is the Noble, and this is going to be the Reviewing Your Deltarune Theories video. I made a short as well as a community post asking for your guys' Deltarune theories, not specified to just Chapter 5, but just in general, and I'm going over the submissions. I got around 30, but I did have to kind of pick and choose. There were some of them that were just kind of like statements, not really like full constructed theories, and obviously we had some jokesters that were just say some random stuff. I had a couple. Gaster's is a pirate and Gaster is green, so I'm gonna choose to ignore those because those aren't actual theories as much as they are funny. But I did pick out a really decent amount, and I really do like these theories. Sharing theories is something that I feel like we should do as a community. Being able to share your theories, get constructive feedback or constructive criticism allows everyone to build their theories to be better and better. Just going in and not having any like evidence and just being like, I want to believe this, that doesn't really have any like full merit to it. But being able to have constructive theories and have it kind of be peer reviewed and have different insights is really cool. And I did this with chapter 3 and 4 and figured I would try it again with chapter 5 once it came out. So yeah, thank you so much, and let's hop into the first theory. With 2 L's says, I don't know if any major theories can come from this, but I made a connection that darkness is heavily symbolized with a lot of water and stuff, and the weird route is done through Noelle and her ice magic. Ice being frozen water, she has powers connected to darkness and is breaking the game through affecting darkness itself. I really love this theory. One of the biggest things that has been associated when it comes to darkness and stuff is obviously water. I mean, the dark fountains are literally fountains, which are associated with water. The depths, the fact that the Goner Maker section, the actual image that is mirrored in the Goner Maker section actually is just a stock PNG of like an ocean or a lake or something. So water is definitely heavily symbolized, not only within just text in the game, but also through explicit imagery, that it is connected. And tying that back into the weird route is a very interesting way to make it connect. I personally think that, especially with how Chapter 5's weird route ends, and that we're going to be not only skipping Chapter 5, 6, but just going right to 7, Side B, that it has to, we are messing with something in the depths. We've already kind of had other theories that there's something in the lake with like Onion Sand, the noise that Onion Sand hears, as well as Susie actually saying she can hear something on the other side of the lake. And the fact that Noelle wanted to go to the other side of the lake makes me feel like there is going to be something there, and that it's very much connected with Noelle through her ties, not only with the weird route, but obviously the ice magic being kind of a twisted imagination of the darkness. I really like that, and thank you for that theory. Our next theory is by Tomiki Blue Igloo. Chapter 5 Weird Route spoilers. Chris and Noelle aren't dead after the Weird Route. I think that at the start of 7B, they'll either wash up on the other side of the lake or be at the bottom of the lake and somehow alive, or end up in some weird, no pun intended, Gaster-related place. Something to do with the CRT screen at the end of the route. I think it'd be strange for Chris and Noelle to end up dead when their emotions towards the player have a lot of narrative potential. I 100% agree. I think there has to be something that will happen in, obviously, Chapter 7. There's no way that something will happen. You can't just show that screen at the end and have nothing happen. Toby, while he does have interesting ways of telling a story, you can't just show that screen and then not involve or like explain it. That would leave people super confused unless that's the intention, but it doesn't make much sense. With them ending at the other side of the lake, that also has big implications with like the song that we hear, like I said with the other theory. The song at the other side of the lake, the Onion Sand, even Susie hears it if you sit by the water in the end of Chapter 4, where it's like after the rain. Susie even says she can hear it. And there's so much that we can done with that. I will also do a little bit of a devil's advocate with your theory, though. I do think having Chris die could be interesting. It is kind of we kind of think we put a soul in Noelle, or at least something like that. When we give her the thorn ring again in the chapter 4 light section of the weird route, it seems like we're like putting a seed of like how we would connect the soul to Noelle or something like that. And the idea that Chris fully gives up in the weird route, that can kind of be interesting. That could be very interesting, because at the end of the normal route, we get, remember, Chris, you promised. So no matter how they feel about Susie, Rouse, and everything, they made a promise, and they're going to try and commit to that promise no matter what. That doesn't happen in the weird route, and they just aren't going to make that chapter 5 fountain. They don't care about the roaring, they don't care about the night. Like, even Rouse gets super scared because Chris doesn't show up during the weird route. Chris is late. That's not supposed to happen in the prophecy. I think Chris fully giving up on whatever the plan is and not wanting to have to deal with this stuff could be interesting, but we'll just have to wait and see. But yeah, thank you so much for your theory. Our next theory is by Armando Brigel Marquez. Chris is depressed and will either try and off themselves or somebody else using the seeds they pick up at the end of chapter 5. Probably the buttercup seeds that are poisonous, just like Kara did in Undertale. Now, I'm gonna be honest, I'm a little split on this one, just because of how I personally view the character. I don't know if that's a personal thing or that it is something that's part of the narrative. I will say I 100% agree with you on the fact that it is the buttercup. There's a reason why the seeds have warning labels and everything on them. That makes sense. The big thing for me is motivations for characters. We don't really have any motivations. We don't know the motivations for Chris yet. We can kind of have and infer stuff. We assume whatever they saw in the bunker, we assume it has to do with stuff with deaths. That makes sense of why they are working with the night, possibly making dark fountains, working with Kara, possibly. We know kind of around the vague idea of what they're doing. They're committing to a promise of some kind. I don't see a logical reason why they would want to hurt not only themselves, but especially others. I could kind of see where they might need to take the seeds themselves to maybe be like, oh no, I'm injured, I can't do this, and have an excuse for something. But I cannot see them hurting anyone else, especially Noelle, especially Susie, Rouse. I don't think they would hurt anyone. As a matter of fact, when Susie, Rouse get down in like the night fight, Chris does way more damage. We can see that they actively care for these characters. They actively care about Susie, they actively care about Noelle. They're not just a blank slate. I don't really know how I feel about them trying to hurt any of them. Obviously, it could be a different character, maybe a character we don't know about. I just need a little bit more evidence. I will agree with you that I think the seeds are a very, very interesting plot point. The fact that Chris instantly pockets that first and not tearing the note first or the code makes me feel like they are going to have some importance. I always thought they might turn into a darkener or something later. Maybe we'll get an actual Flowey, not flowery. So maybe we'll have something there. But anyways, thank you for your theory, and I can't wait to see it might have a possibility to come true one way or another when we see what the deal is with those seeds. The last but biggest theory is from Of Consciousness. I'm a big fan of the time spiral aspect brought up in the Amalgam Night theory. I think time spiral theory can be considered independent from the who the knight is. The idea that we have to loop through multiple times and we can each get one ending or the endings seem highly plausible to me. Possible evidence, but not proof. Multiple save files that have innate differences but also carry over to each other. Toby said if everyone is happy in the ending you got in Undertale, the people in Undertale will still be happy, so don't worry about those characters or that world. It will remain untouched. He was very vague and careful with his words and the timeline here. He could have easily said, oh, they're not related, I just wanted to reuse these characters, but he didn't. And specifying what he did, it's intended for people who are already played Undertale, makes it feel very significant in Deltarune's plot and vice versa. Susie's drawings that she makes for Chris in Chapter 5. Clam Girl in Undertale says maybe Susie is the reason you're here. Paraphrase, she's not even in Undertale outside that encounter. There's so much don't forget in Deltarune, and Undertale in his Sans fight will just end up right back here without any memory of it. I used to think this was talking about getting back to the surface in Undertale, but seeing how much don't forget is emphasized in Deltarune, while barely even being mentioned in Undertale, Sans is talking about the memory he combined with drawing in the lab, maybe strongly pointing to Deltarune being what they've forgotten. Gerson, or the old man in Deltarune, talks about stories being changed every time they're retold, and is important to how the way you write. Maybe there are evidence, but this comment is too long enough already. No, I love that you went through this much proof, and I actually didn't really know too much about this theory, so I actually had to do research, and I'm surprised I had not heard about amalgam theory, but I had not heard much about the time spiral aspect, and it's super, super interesting. Now, for the basic laydown for the people who don't know it, because I did not know, I wasn't kind of sure when I first read this theory, the main idea is that there is a loop within Deltarune that will continue happening, meaning that you will have to replay it multiple times before we can each an ending, or one of the only one possible ending is that Deltarune is in an infinite loop. There's a lot of evidence for it, and I kind of vaguely remember people talking about this way back in Chapter 1, Chapter 2 era, but I kind of completely forgot about it. But all of the evidence you provide is actually really good. The multiple save files, they do have slight differences, specifically within, not only internally, obviously, but they have slight differences in the dialogue of what is in Azriel's desk in the light world. So they are technically different. Like they said, Toby having a different ending, he could 100% have said, worded it differently, and the fact that you kind of do have to play Undertale to get Deltarune makes it feel that big. Obviously, the Susie's drawing for Sans is a big one. Clam Girl's name-dropping Susie. A lot of people thought it was just building up for Deltarune, but it might be a backwards thing. The fact that there is so much don't forget. Yeah, I love all of your kind of evidence and stuff. Obviously, it's not 100% solid proof. I really do love this theory because I didn't really know too much about it. I will say the only problem I have with it is for this to make sense, there is a lot of stuff that would have to be wrapped up very, very quickly within the last two chapters, which I'm not doubting Toby couldn't do. I mean, if you think about it, we didn't really learn about Azriel until very late into the game in Undertale, so it's 100% plausible that Toby could do this. And your evidence is very good, and I 100% agree with you. It's just crazy to me to think that Deltarune could possibly be in a loop. Toby's been kind of, not vague, but kind of hinting that the ending of Deltarune he doesn't think people will like, because the whole idea is he got this in a fever dream. Deltarune is a dream that he's like, this is so interesting. I want to see what would happen if I made a story around this. And he's making a story around this. But the fact that he doesn't even know if the ending will be good, he just thinks it's like cool to have that in a game, makes me feel like there is a chance that something happens, something loops. The fact that Sans can talk about different stuff, like there is so much amount of evidence for that. It just boggles my brain. I haven't seen more people talking about this. Maybe it's become like just a fact, and I haven't seen many people talking about it because they think it's just fact now. But I have not seen this. I kind of, like I said, I vaguely remember seeing this maybe in like early chapter 1, chapter 2 era. But I have not seen it in like people talking about chapter 4, or especially recently. I'm very, very happy for your theory, because this is probably one of my new personal favorite theories. Like I said again, I don't know how much, I definitely like the idea of it. I don't know how much I personally buy into it with some other stuff. Like, I can't deny that your evidence is really good. I can't deny that the actual idea of it looping is cool. I have a big problem with some stories being like, oh, it was all a dream, or the story you happened doesn't really exist. And with it doing a time loop, there are ways that they could have it be like that, and I could get upset. But like I said, Toby is an excellent writer. I don't think it would be the case. And I feel like some people would possibly get mad from it being a time loop, so maybe that's kind of what Toby's hinting at. But yeah, thank you so much for your theory, and thank you everyone for watching this. I had a huge blast reading all of these theories and analyzing them, having ones I've never heard about, having ones that I think need a little bit more development. It's so cool to see everyone's opinions and thoughts on this game that we all love. I have a bunch more. Like I said, I got around 30 in just the one post I made regarding the shorts. I also have some stuff on the actual post on YouTube. Feel free to leave theories in those, the post and that short, or leave your own theories in this description of this, this comment section of this video. I would love to do a sequel to this. I did, I think, a couple sequels to the theory 1 when it came down to chapter 3 and 4, and I really love doing this. But yeah, thank you so much for watching. Stay noble. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.